What's going on, guys? Welcome to Now It's Legal podcast, where we not only talk about what's going on in the college world and NIL deals, but success from college to a professional career. And today we have Gwinneth Campbell. Thank you for coming on today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. So let's just talk about where Gwen, or some people call you G, where you come from. Where's your hometown? Are you from Texas?
So I am from Birmingham, Alabama, a suburb called Hoover, Alabama. And I grew up living there literally my entire life until I came out here to Texas for college.
So Hoover, can you tell me a little bit about that? I'm sure some people know about a TV show, about a football team. Kind of elaborate on that.
Yes. So if you know anything about Alabama, we're really big on football there. My high school team was huge state champions. So I grew up really invested in just football in general. Loved watching college football growing up, especially my high school team.
Absolutely. So you grew up in Alabama. Football is everything. So you're here in Texas now. What makes the move here what makes you come to Texas?
Well, I always wanted to live in Dallas ever since a young age. When I was 14,
Okay.
I came to Dallas for, I guess, a little work trip. I was modeling for a company here out in Dallas, and they flew me out here by myself. And I just came to love this city so much. Ended up going home and telling my parents all about it, saying that's where I want to live when I'm older. I don't know how, I don't know when, but I'm going to make a footprint in Dallas, Texas sometime in the future. And really that's what brought up my interest for Southern Methodist University right here in Texas, and where I started, where I started applying to schools, and that was my first college tour, and I just fell in love.
So your parents, are they born and raised in Alabama?
Yes.
So tell me a little about that. How did your parents encourage you to stay consistent, introduce you into dance and pom and things of that nature?
Yeah, sure. So my parents were born and raised in Alabama, just like myself. They came from a northern part of the state and ended up meeting eventually in Birmingham, Alabama, where they started a life there and eventually had me. I'm also the only child, so I'm very, very close with my parents. But really, when I started dancing, I was 2 years old, so I've been dancing for 21 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a long time,
That's
and
a long time.
my mom's been a dance mom for a long time, which is very hard, I will say that. But yeah, it really started. My mom was just looking for an extracurricular activity for me when I was 2, and she was like, "Oh, I'll just throw in a dance class," and she never imagined it would turn into what it is today. That's for sure.
Yeah. So now you're here at SMU. Kind of tell me about getting into SMU, and did you look at any other colleges? What was that experience like?
Yeah, so I remember getting my first college letter in the mail, just saying "Hey, come visit us," and I realized that it was in Dallas. I'd never heard of SMU before, I'm pretty sure. But since it was here in Dallas, I was like, I gotta go, Mom. We're going on this tour. I don't know when, but we gotta do it. Like I said, it was my first one, and I just fell in love. But of course, I stayed open-minded. There were other schools I was super interested in, especially dance-wise. There are some universities in this country that are just immaculate when it comes to the dance programs or the college teams for dance themselves. And I was trying to figure out if I wanted to major in dance or just be on the dance team and represent the university that way. So of course, I looked at other schools all over the country, really mainly in Alabama, I would say, because, there's...
You're there.
Yeah, I'm there, and the University of Alabama was 45 minutes away from my home. So if I really wanted to stay close to home, I could have gone there. I think part of my parents, they wanted me to go somewhere cool, so they would have an opportunity to visit somewhere cool, to come see me while I was in college. So they were kind of pushing well, you're smart, you can go somewhere really cool, and kind of putting that in my ear when I was applying to colleges. But overall, I just stuck with SMU after I toured it.
Yeah, can you name any people or maybe some support forces that kind of helped you make that decision to go into SMU? And did you know anybody going into SMU?
So no, I really did not know anyone that went to SMU before me. Did not know anyone there that I could ask for advice for when it came to that college application process. It really came down to my parents because, like I said, I was the only child, and figuring this out for the first time in my family.
Right.
And I would just sit down at the dinner table every night and talk about it with my parents. Of course, like that's a stressful time.
Right.
Like your senior year, you're in, especially with, so I applied to, I think like 10 schools.
Oh my God.
So I had a lot of options in front of me and I really didn't know what direction I wanted to go in. But my application process did end up being like pretty interesting. I really thought I was going to go to the University of Alabama at one point.
Yeah.
And that's just where I was going to end up. I had a roommate picked out.
Oh, the group chat.
Yes.
The Facebook groups.
I was in all the Facebook groups. I had a roommate picked out. I'm pretty sure I had a deposit down. So like I was pretty set in going there. But I think I wanted to do something new.
Yeah.
Because if I had gone to school 45 minutes away from my
It really
hometown,
wouldn't have been much of a shakeup.
no, and I honestly knew exactly what I was going to do there. I knew what organizations I was going to join on campus. I knew what I was going to major in. I just had a whole plan there, and I just wanted something new. And eventually, I ended up getting my acceptance letter at SMU. Now, when I opened it, I had a little party, but I didn't really quite read the first line. The first line said that I was admitted for the spring semester.
Right, and you applied for the
Fall.
Okay, so this is a deferred admission.
Yes. So
Okay.
I ended up being deferred into SMU. Still a huge deal because
Absolutely.
I was admitted into the university, but I didn't quite know what that meant at first.
You just know that you're having a party.
Yeah, exactly. It may be a little delayed too.
That's all right.
But it was okay. And I ended up, talking to the admissions people, and they gave all of the deferred students options. And the options were to either just take a gap semester and start your college career later, or go to another college in the country for a semester and then basically transfer to SMU.
Gotcha.
Or you could also go abroad for that semester.
Oh,
And I was like, that sounds cool.
that's some options.
Yeah, that's some options, a lot of different options. And part of me, I was like, well, let me just go to Alabama for a semester.
Right.
But then I saw the abroad opportunity, and it was either in Switzerland or London.
Oh, poor you.
I know, right? All my friends are always like, well, I wish I was deferred.
Right.
You had to reapply for one of those programs. So
Sure.
I reapplied for the London program and got admitted into that.
Wow.
And it was basically a small group of about 20 students who were also deferred by SMU, along with myself. And we all met over there in London, became besties. We just, took school and explored the country, and we got to travel across Europe a lot for 4 months, and then we came back to SMU.
So did you have like any, like girlfriends that ended up doing pom with or dancing with at all, or were you kind of lone wolf?
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of lone wolf. There were a couple of cheerleaders over there with me that ended up cheering when they got back to SMU.
Right.
But then again, I didn't do the dance team until my senior year. So
Oh, okay.
I came back to SMU, just really started to get my bearings there. Joined a couple organizations on campus where I had leadership positions. So I was super involved when I got to SMU. I was like,
Right.
I'm finally here, and I really want to just get involved, and really just threw myself in, met a lot of friends, tons of people, but I mainly stayed connected with my London friends. So
Absolutely. So just tell me about your education experience at SMU and balancing it. It's not the easiest school. It is rigorous. I have friends that go there. So how do you balance that when you're really trying to hone in on a craft? Like,
yeah, totally. So I think that's what was hard for me. I will say that because, I mean, at this point, I would say I've retired from dancing like 3 times in my life, and I just keep going back to it. I'm
Yeah.
like, I now know this is something I cannot give up anymore, and it takes a couple of goodbyes
Yeah.
to realize that and say, like, this is something I can't live without.
Right.
Like, it's been in my life since I was 2, and I genuinely don't know how to live without it. But when I first got to SMU, I was really just focusing on the relationships that I was building there, school, because it is really hard,
Absolutely.
especially coming from London in that abroad program. The classes were not that hard there. Like they were pretty easy, and also we were traveling every weekend to a new country. So I was really just trying to have fun over there and embrace this new experience because I'd also never been out of the country.
so this was the first time you're out of the country.
Yes. alone
For 4 months.
basically, for 4 months as an 18-year-old.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a lot. It was a lot. So I get back to SMU and I'm just really trying to figure out what college actually is.
Right.
And I really wasn't dancing that much.
Right.
I took a couple of classes here and there in Dallas at like adult drop-in studios where you pay just a little bit of money and get to take class, and then that's about it. That's really all I was doing. But I kind of realized, okay, I'm not really dancing anymore. Maybe I can teach.
Right.
So that's when I ended up really becoming a teacher choreographer.
Gotcha.
And I started thinking like, okay, maybe I'm not a dancer anymore. Maybe I'm a teacher. And I loved it. I love teaching and being able to see that improvement throughout a class or throughout the camps that I was
Seeing
teaching.
other people's potential.
Yes, exactly.
Utilizing that, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And just being able to see how these students looked up to me and would come to me for advice and help. I just love that. So that's kind of where I got into that whole thing.
Gotcha. So I've seen you on your story. You're at Majestic Dance. There's other things that you did in Palm. What dance groups have you taught, and kind of what groups are you working with currently, and have you worked with? Kind of just elaborate on that.
Yeah, sure. So over the past, I would say 5 years is where I've really kind of dove into choreography and teaching. I've taught all over the country, really, through a company called UDA.
Okay.
And I was on staff for them, and we would hold these huge dance team camps where middle school, high schoolers, and even college age students would come with their teams. And we would be at college campuses, usually in the arena or the gym area, teaching 500 students at a time. So yeah,
That's got to be overwhelming.
It was very overwhelming, but it was so much fun. We would wake up at 6 a.m., go teach these students until 9 p.m., and then stay up all night preparing for the next day. So it was a lot, but it was so much fun. And because of that, I've taught and been able to connect with a lot of dance teams from all over the country. Now, currently, since I am based in Dallas, I teach a lot of teams up north, like in the Plano, Frisco area.
Okay.
There's so many amazing and talented drill teams here.
Yep.
And they're always needing choreographers for their competitions that they're doing, their pep rallies. So I get a lot of calls just asking me to do routines like that. I do everything from hip hop, pom, jazz, contemporary. So I'm able to do a little bit of everything, which is a big thing that they need here in Dallas. So
Absolutely. So besides your trips your trip to London and internationally, what is experience at SMU that's most memorable to you? It doesn't necessarily have to be associated with dance, but just an overall experience at SMU that just sticks out to you.
I mean, I would definitely say it has to do with dance and me waiting to try out for the Palm Squad until my senior year. It was because of that job that I was talking about earlier with UDA. I was teaching all these teams.
Is that why you waited so long? Is that why you waited till your senior year?
For sure. I was teaching these teams for 3 years and judging competitions. I was judging, these national competitions that were held in Orlando, Florida every year, sitting there watching, and I was just like, I miss performing.
Right.
I want to do that so bad. I see how excited and happy they are, and that feeling that they have that I miss, that I used to have 5 years ago. And that's when I went home one Easter and talked to my parents about it. And I was just like, I think I'm going to try out for the team because I hadn't tried out yet. And I was like, I got one more chance.
Yeah.
My last year to do it, so I might as well do it. And
were your parents supportive of that, or were they
Yes.
saying, "Hey, stay focused on this. You have something going here"?
Oh,
or
no.
were they kind of?
They were so excited
Good.
when I told them that. My mom went and bought season football tickets.
No, that's good.
Yeah, I know. And when I was still 50-50 about it, she was like, well, I bought season football tickets, so I think you should do it. And I was like, all right, Mom, guess I'm doing it. So yeah, it brought me to that point where I was just missing that performance quality that I once had, and I knew I still had it deep down inside. And then really just my senior year was just the experience that I knew I wanted and needed, and it was because of the dance team.
Absolutely. So your senior year, we talked a little bit on the phone, and you talked about how senior year is when you took the most hours and you ended up doing a double major.
Yes.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, so it was my senior year. I I always knew I was majoring in fashion media.
Okay.
I'm a big fashion girl. I love reading about
Got the
fashion.
Jordan ones on.
Yep.
Loving it.
I love fashion, and I always knew I wanted to work in fashion somehow. And I'm not working in it right now, but I still have, this goal of mine to create a fashion line at one point in my life, whether it's with dance wear or something else, workout wear. Like, I think that would be so cool. But yeah, I was majoring in fashion media. And along with that, you need another minor or major.
Right.
And it got to a point my senior year where I realized I was a few credits away from a journalism major. So, and I was already minoring in advertising.
Right.
And I just talked to my advisor and I was like, how can I get this major? Like, I see it so close. And she was like, well, you got to take 18 hours. And I was like, all right, that's fine. And that ended up being like my most successful year grade wise. And I think it's because I had so much on my plate and I was so focused.
Right. Yeah. So you're so focused. You have 18 hours, right?
Yes.
And so how do you participate in extracurricular activities? You have to focus on self-care. You have mental health. You have friends. You have, other passions that exceed dance and pom and things of that nature. So that balance is pretty key. How do you do that?
Well, I would say what's unique about dance is that it's a hobby and an outlet. So me going to practice, looking back on my senior year, me going to practice was something I looked forward to so much because it was it was the moment where I could just leave everything outside of practice and just focus on that for 2 hours and dance and receive corrections. I love receiving corrections and feedback. And that was where it was kind of my mental health. And like, I would just be able to dance
you were
it out.
able to release.
Yeah, release during those practice times. Now, I was super involved on campus still my senior year. I was on my sorority exec board.
Oh my goodness.
So I was holding events like crazy, planning for months. Yeah.
Man.
And like my sorority had 150 to 200 women in it.
What sorority is that?
Alpha Chi Omega.
Alpha Chi Omega.
Yes. So we were always planning events. I was, welcoming freshmen into the new member class.
Right on.
I was super, super involved in that. And then also some other smaller clubs on campus, but mainly just focusing on my schoolwork and really the dance team.
Right.
Because, we did everything. We did
Right.
football, basketball, men's and women's, and then women's volleyball as well.
That's right.
And then also appearances and practices every week. So our schedule kind of went like this, and we never knew what was going to happen, but I was just always flexible and prepared for that.
Awesome. So, do you plan on, having, whenever you have kids, do you plan on, kind of pushing them to participate in sports or professional dance? Or, because a lot of people will say, man, I wish I just stuck with it.
Yes.
And you're one of the people that stuck with it, and here you are. So kind of elaborate on that.
I hear that all the time when I meet new people, and I tell them about my dance career and how I'm still dancing at 23 years old. Most girls, they grow up, dancing in the little.
They see that and they want to be that.
Yeah, and they go to little baby tap ballet classes, and then they end up quitting it because they end up doing other sports and stuff.
Right.
But every time I mention it to someone, they're like, I really wish I'd stuck with dance because I see the dancers these days and they're just in awe of what we all do and how it can become a job and a career.
Absolutely.
So if I were to, have kids, I would definitely want them to participate in something, not only as an extracurricular, but to have a hobby and an outlet that can possibly become a career. Because in college these days, these athletes, they're making a career out of their sport.
Absolutely.
And their passion.
Yep.
And if you're truly passionate about it, you can stick with it.
Absolutely.
And that's something that I had to learn myself. Like I said, I retired from dance 3 times in my life. And here I am.
Right.
Here I said goodbye, and I would look at people and say, I don't dance anymore. And here I am still dancing.
When you would
because I love it.
when you would tell people that you're not dancing anymore, what's kind of the reaction you would get?
They would just be like, oh, why?
Yeah.
And I would say, genuinely, when I moved home to Alabama after I graduated from college, there's not really an adult dance industry there. It's really just studio based for younger students who want to compete.
Gotcha.
All up to high school age.
Gotcha.
There's nothing really for people my age there
Right.
to dance professionally unless you were just teaching at a dance studio.
Gotcha.
And what I do when it comes to teaching, I like to go to these schools, whether it's university or high school, and be able to pour in that
Gotcha.
way, not just into a studio. So that's something that, I would have to explain to them, and they would say, oh, okay, I get that. Like,
Yeah.
it's just not, you're not where you are to be able to do that, basically.
Right. So, did any of your parents play play sports or dance competitively? Like, how did you find this passion?
No, I think my dad played baseball at some point, but
Yeah.
it wasn't serious.
Yeah.
It was just like an extracurricular,
Right.
nothing like super passionate for
Right.
him that he was involved in. And my mom was a singer. My mom grew up a singer and a pageant girl.
Okay.
So she
adding
competed.
up.
Yes, she competed in Miss Alabama and would sing during all of that. And she did pretty good. Now, she never won, but she did pretty good.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of made her want me to do. I actually did pageants too at one point.
Right.
When I lived in Alabama growing up. She threw me into a couple because, they're incredible opportunities for scholarship money
Yep.
that goes to young women's college careers.
Right.
So they don't just win, a crown and a trophy. They
Right.
actually win scholarship money that is just for college. So I did a little bit of that, but really neither of my parents danced.
Okay.
Like, it was nothing that they know anything about. Like, literally have no clue. Of course, they've learned over the years.
Yeah, just
From everything I've done.
osmosis.
Exactly. So, it was nothing that they did, but they're so supportive, and it's never anything that they've like tried to take it away from
Okay.
me. So they love it.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about you are done. You graduated from SMU. You head back to Alabama. You drive back.
Yes.
That's a
packed
long
up my
drive.
stuff and drove.
Yeah. So you packed up all your stuff. You drove back. Retired from dance.
Yes.
Right?
Kind of.
Kind of. So kind of walk me through what brings you back to Texas.
Yeah. So last summer, well, not this past summer, but the summer before, I stopped dancing because like college ended. I moved back home, but I still had this like little inkling inside that I wanted to keep performing and everything. I ended up trying out for the team,
team?
Dallas Mavericks dance team, last year,
Yep.
and I ended up making it to the final round of the process. But the final round was in Dallas. The first round was just a virtual round, so I could just submit something, and that was from Alabama.
So you could be in Alabama and still participate.
Yes.
Okay.
Basically.
Okay.
However, the last round was in Texas, and there was just a lot going on in my life then where I was not able to make it out to the first round. So it was something that I had to give up and just kind of put on pause. And
Right.
that's when I kind of realized, like, okay, maybe I'm not dancing anymore.
Right.
Luckily, I was still able to teach at my hometown dance studio back in Birmingham, Alabama. So I was still teaching the kids that I
Right.
watched grow up, which is really cool.
Yeah.
They're high schoolers, and when I was there, they were in middle school, some even
Yeah.
elementary school. So, I still had that connection with my hometown studio that I was at for 16 years growing up. However, I ended up not dancing anymore, finding some other jobs, other places. I moved to Mississippi at one point, moved to Ohio State at one point and worked there. I was all over the place.
Right. You were just trying to find it.
Yes, I was trying to figure out really what I wanted to do because, you graduate college and you give up all this stuff that you once had. And
Right.
you're like, you kind of have to sit and think, okay, now I don't know what I want to do.
Right.
I have these majors, I have all of this education.
Yep. All this money I spent.
Yes, and I have all these hobbies that I want to pursue something in.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like, how?
Mm-hmm.
You have no one telling you.
Yeah.
You
It's not a cookie cutter approach to it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can sit down with your parents as many times, but they're just going to be there to. They always supported me, thank goodness. But
Yeah.
they're still just going to sit there and say, well, I love that you're doing this,
Yeah.
and like we want to help you. They're not going to really tell me what I should do.
Right.
So it was a moment where I was just really trying to figure everything out. But I came to a point early January of this year where I realized I still want to be dancing and I am not where I've always wanted to be.
Right.
And that was Dallas, Texas.
Okay. So
And-
so you came back.
Yes.
So you got to the final, and how did that go? So you had to come back? Did you?
Was that this past summer?
Right. This
Yes.
past summer.
So, I mean, I moved here in April,
Okay.
and tryouts were not until July.
Okay.
So, since I moved here, I was like, well, yay, I can do what I want to do
Right, I'm
pursue
back
my
where I wanna
dream.
be.
Yes, and pursue my dream. So I prepared for 3 to 4 months, I think.
Yeah. What is okay? When you say prepare,
Yes.
I think there's a little bit of misconception about what preparing to be a professional dancer kind of looks like.
Yes.
Kind of walk me through that schedule about
Yeah.
what that 3 to 4 month prep looks like.
So I had someone training me from actually New York. So I would get on Zoom calls once a week with this other professional dancer who worked in the industry as well.
Yeah.
She worked in the NBA. So she helped guide me in the direction of the style that a professional dancer should be dancing in. And these were on Zoom calls. So I would have Zoom calls with her once a week. Luckily, Dallas is such a big city for professional dance that there are tons of prep classes here.
Awesome.
So I would go to maybe 1 or 2 prep classes a day in Dallas. And then on top of that, I would also be working out. And I have a full-time job.
So when do you wake up?
So I would wake up at like 5 a.m., go work out, whether it was a gym class or the gym at my apartment, get ready, go to work until 5 p.m. And then sometimes I would have time to go home and like grab a bite to eat, or I would just, grab something on my way to the dance class or the next workout class. If I had, let's say I had only 1 dance class a day, I would probably
Right.
try to fit in like 2 workouts instead. So it was a lot of time management, and
Yeah, there is.
but it was so awesome being able to do that. Like, I loved that feeling of just knowing I was bettering myself, and like each day I was getting 1% better to be able to eventually, achieve this goal of mine. Now, did I know if I was actually going to make the team? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
But I knew I was doing the absolute most to be able to prepare myself.
Right.
And I was probably doing like 120% of what I actually needed to be doing.
Right.
But it's what made me feel so confident going
Right.
into the process.
Yeah. So I know we can't talk in depth about the process, but you kind of walk me through about how you make the team. Is there any rejection involved in that process, or is it pretty seamless?
Once you make the team, or
Yeah, once you're making the team, and kind of like, how do you? Are there any challenges once you made the team, or is it pretty much?
No, I wouldn't say there's any challenges. I would say overall it's a lot of learning. Just as if I was trying out for SMU Palm again
Right.
and making that team, there's game day procedures that you have to do and follow, and just overall learning everything that has to be performed.
Right.
It's a whole process, and that's why we practice.
Yeah.
So, of course, you prepare to succeed and not fail. And there was a lot of preparation once I made the team to be able to take that court confidently when it came to the season.
Yeah. So if you could collaborate with any artist or choreographer, what type of project would you create with them?
I don't know if I would like create a project. I would say if I were to collab with any artist.
Sure.
I think this is every dancer's like goal in life, but it's very hard to reach. It would be to dance professionally with Justin Bieber.
Gotcha.
That's like a huge thing that every dancer professionally
Justin
wants to
Bieber,
do.
if you're hearing this,
Yes.
she would love to dance for you.
Please. No, that's like literally every person's goal, like in the dance industry, because all of the top dancers out in LA, they all dance with Justin Bieber, like on his tours. Same for Taylor Swift. Like,
Taylor Swift or
yes, these huge names, like they all
Right.
have dancers that tour with them, and that would probably be like a collab I would love to have happen, but
Yeah.
I'm not living in LA, so
not yet at least.
not
We
yet.
don't
Who
know
knows?
yet.
Who knows?
Yeah. So all the women out there who are listening to your story, there's a lot of trial, there's a lot of tribulations, and it's not always easy. I mean, you did not know you were going to be a Dallas Maverick dancer whenever you were taking that chance, whenever you're prepping for months and months and months, kind of how do you do that? I mean,
Yeah,
it's not for the weak.
No, it's not for the weak, but it's also realizing your potential, because generally anyone can do it. And it's just being able to know your dream. Don't just kind of guess what your dream is and say, oh, I have this idea, I think I want to try it.
Right.
You need to make that idea into a dream and say, I am going to go for it, and not hold yourself back with any fear. Because,
Yeah, but what if I fail?
well, you learn something. I think everything happens for a reason. And if I were to go try out and, fail, okay, I bet I met a lot of really cool people through the process that are going to be connections for years down the road and possible best friends in the future. I've learned a lot.
Absolutely.
And it's also a really cool experience.
Yeah.
It's not something that you just you can sign up for any day of the week and go participate in. Tryouts are not, an easy, just normal experience.
It's not supposed to be easy.
Yeah, exactly. So it's something that's once in a lifetime, truly. And that's what I just want to encourage people to understand. That's where I was, over a year ago. Yes, there was a lot going on, and that's why I wasn't able to fully commit to the tryout process at the time. But overall, it was that fear holding me back.
Yeah.
I was asking myself, okay, what if I go out to Dallas and I make the team? What am I going to do?
Right.
I didn't have anywhere to live. I didn't have a full-time job. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Right.
What if I go out there and don't make the team?
Right.
Okay, what am I going to do after that? So it's about realizing your fear and just pushing it aside and being confident.
Right.
There's also that lack of confidence that people
kills
have.
dreams.
Yes, that kills dreams and creates the fear. And if I were to look back at myself when I was, in middle school or high school, when I was dancing back then, I didn't have the confidence I have today back then. And I wish I would have looked at myself and just been like, you have all this potential. You can literally achieve anything you set your mind to. So just go for it. Please, just go for it.
So would that be your one piece of advice to your younger self?
Yes.
When you started your dance journey?
Yes, definitely just have the confidence. And luckily I have those people in my life back then that would look at me and say, you are good enough. You just need to do this. And yeah, exactly, apply and go for it, because you don't realize you're good enough, but everyone sees it and they want you to go for it. So I wish I had that confidence, and that way it would have gotten rid of the fear that eventually came along with that.
So in what ways has dancing professionally for the Dallas Mavericks impacted your life?
I mean, it's an incredible experience, that not a lot of people have in not just Texas, but the country, worldwide.
Right.
But overall, it's the friendships I've made, the relationships.
Absolutely.
I love being on a team. I love being on a team. And that's one reason why I ended up trying out for the Palm Squad my senior year. Gotcha. I miss being a part of a team. Those girls are still my best friends today. I still hang out and talk to them, even though they're still in college, all the time. And that's one reason why I really wanted to just be part of the team again, is for those friendships that are so different than just, my college friends.
Right.
Dance friends is just a whole nother level.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's like that for any sport or hobby.
It's competitive.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure a football player would say, my football friends are, it's a whole nother level than just my normal school friends. Because, you have blood, sweat, and tears with those people. Truly, you are
4-hour workout.
Yeah, you're fully.
Today.
Yeah, that's today. You're fully grinding with these people and reaching goals with them and cheering each other on, because you're on a team. It's not, you're not competing against each other. You're a part of a team after that, and you want what's best for the person next to you. So that's just really what I love about it, the relationships.
Yeah, the relationship, the connections. Are there any people specifically that you can either, shout out or say their names that kind of helped you really make that jump, or really helped guide you, other than your parents, obviously?
I would definitely say my college dance team coach.
Yeah.
Her name's Carrie, and she is one person that looked at me when I was trying to figure out if I wanted to coach after college or just keep dancing, and she looked at me and said, "You're not done dancing. You're not
You're
done."
like, yes, I am.
Yeah, I was like, okay. No, she looked at me and was like, "You're not done dancing. Like, you need to keep dancing and focus on that career because you're 23 and you could keep going for another 10 years."
Yeah.
But she's also a mentor I still look up to this day. I wouldn't have been able to move to Dallas without her because she helped me get connected with people at my other jobs that were able to help me move out here this year. And she's also just, she trained me in dance too. So she gets it.
So how long have you known her?
I actually didn't meet her until my senior year of college. But it feels like I've known her for 20 years. So.
Awesome. So I'm just going to transition. You are on Now It's Legal podcast, the NIL. College athletes can now get paid for their name, their image, their likeness.
Right.
Tell me kind of how the impact is on your friends. You get to meet all the players and coaches, whether you're participating in that sport or not. You're there at their games, and kind of just give me your take on that.
Yeah, so the NIL became a thing my senior year. So it was like...
You saw it before, and now you see it where it is now.
Yes, exactly. So I was in college, before it was a thing, and then my last year in college was when it was becoming a thing. And when I first heard about it, I was like, this is an incredible opportunity.
Absolutely.
For, myself, my teammates when I was at SMU, and everyone else in the athletics department.
Right.
And I wanted to figure out, what I could do with that because it also included myself. So I had a couple of agreements with some brands my senior year, but it's just, I think it's awesome, honestly, like what these athletes are able to do nowadays with this opportunity and just be able to make a brand for themselves because it's all about the brand.
It's all about the brand.
The personal brand, that's what it's all about. And I think every athlete in the country should be able to have a personal brand.
Yes.
So it's just really cool being able to see and I follow everyone on Instagram, especially at SMU.
We have plenty of mutuals on Instagram.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's like I always see on Instagram these athletes who came from nothing and they're being able to make a name for themselves because of this. And, without it, they would still possibly be figuring out what they wanted to do. Yeah. And it's just led to a lot of job connections too.
Absolutely.
It's just incredible what they're doing. So. And I was also able to experience it when I was on the Palm Squad. Yeah. So I'm grateful for it.
Absolutely. So I know Preston Stone just recently got a Powerade deal. Cool. And then right here we have Bijan Mustard, and that is a University of Texas player who now plays for the Atlanta Falcons.
That's
and
awesome.
He was able to partner with this mustard brand, and that created a product that surrounded that player and really was able to create a joint venture. And you say it's all about the brand, but how important is it how you select those brands and how you surround yourself with those people who are either there for the good or not?
Yeah, right.
So you're now in a professional space, so it's no longer NIL, it's just a regular professional deal. But speak on how important is it to have the people there and surrounding yourself with fruitful people that have your best interests, not just their interests in mind.
Right. I think it comes down, to the morals and values of the other and doing enough research,
Absolutely.
I work in social media, so it's not hard for me to figure out some things.
Some of those brands.
I know it's really not that difficult for me, but I have other friends who may need help with that. But it's overall just making sure it matches my values, or if someone else is looking at a brand, making sure it matches their values, especially their sport or, their passion, whatever they're doing. So it comes down to that, I would say.
Absolutely. So we're going to do some off the wall questions.
Cool.
So are you an animal person? Or are you I'm allergic to everything under the sun and I don't touch those?
No, I love animals. Growing up, I had, I think, 9 pets at one point.
What?
And these weren't just a bunch of dogs. I had 2 fish. I had a dog. 3 cats.
This
is where it gets crazy.
We need names. Cat names are always wild.
Well, these weren't wild.
Oh, okay.
I also had a pet bird, a conure, and a rabbit.
And a rabbit.
And a pet rabbit. So I was like that. I wouldn't say I was spoiled. Like, I wasn't your typical spoiled only child, but my parents like wanted me to be able to have friends, I guess, and they would get me pets. I was a huge like animal person.
Yeah.
I just love all animals.
Yeah.
So definitely not allergic to anything.
Yeah. I actually have a story. I actually used to have a pet rabbit. My
Really?
grandmother bought my sister and I a rabbit.
They're the sweetest. They are the
The
sweetest.
story's gonna go south.
Oh no.
But
okay.
there. So
scared.
I had it for one summer, and I'm super excited. She lived in a small town, Brownwood, Texas, which is where
Okay.
my mother's from, and she also had a dog.
Okay. Oh no.
And I came back the next summer, and she told me that you don't have a rabbit anymore. That the rabbits got out, and both rabbits got eaten.
No, by the dog? What
By
kind of
the-
dog was it?
It was a German Shepherd.
Oh, that
Yeah.
makes sense. See, I had a small
So anytime I
dog.
hear somebody saying, "Oh, I had a rabbit," I'm just like,
You're like,
"Me too."
yeah, I did too. No, this rabbit, he lived like I think 8 years.
They're supposed to live a long time, but
Yeah.
I'll never get to experience that.
I'm
So-
sorry. I'm sorry. Luckily, my dog was a little Japanese chin, which is like basically a lab dog.
Like a little.
Yeah, it was like a Shih Tzu kind of. So they were friends.
They're
they,
fr-
they hung out.
Tell me one thing or multiple things that Gwinneth Campbell's not good at.
That I'm not good at. One thing
Just
I'm
one
not good
thing,
at.
because you're great at everything else, right?
Absolutely. Surprisingly, I'm really bad at public speaking.
No one's gonna believe that.
Like in front of like a really big like room of people.
Yeah.
I'm just like not used to like talking in front of people. Like
Right.
I would love to, dance in an arena of 20,000 people. I can do that all
I
day.
can never do.
Like I could do that all day long. But when it comes to speaking in front of a lot of people, I just like absolutely shut down.
Really?
I hate it. It's so weird. Like I can totally do like dance, but not talk. I don't know.
Okay, so what is one thing that people are generally surprised to find out about you? Maybe a quirky.
Honestly, that I'm the only child. When I say that, people are shocked all the time.
You just have a personality that comes off as not that.
I guess, and I think like that's kind of rare. I don't know a lot of only children nowadays, so
Right.
I think that's something that people are usually surprised about.
Yeah.
But really, that's about it.
Yeah. So, if you're going to live on a desert island,
Okay.
but you could only take one thing with you, what would it be?
What would it be?
You can think on this. One thing.
know.
All right, here we'll do 3 things that you can take
3 things I can take.
on a desert island.
A hoodie,
Wait, what type of hoodie?
like just a black hoodie.
Black hoodie? Any
black
brand that you're gonna?
No, just a hoodie.
Just a
Just a hoodie.
Just a simple black hoodie.
Yes, I'm a big hoodie girl. Yeah, probably a hoodie. Maybe a yoga mat.
Yoga mat, a hoodie, a yoga mat.
And I wouldn't. I feel like everyone would say their phone. I wouldn't take a phone because, like, honestly, I don't need my phone, especially if you're on a desert island.
You got a yoga mat and a hoodie.
Maybe like a ponytail holder.
Ponytail holder.
Yeah, 3 weird things, but
Very
that's
much
all
a
I
necessity
need.
for Gwen.
Yes, that's all I need, honestly.
Tell me something you think that is true that almost nobody agrees on.
I think that's true that no one agrees on. That's also a hard
Unpopular
question.
opinion, so to speak.
An unpopular opinion.
Like pineapple on pizza or
Okay. I love guacamole. I feel like a lot of people hate guacamole
it's
because it's like avocados. Like
it's
people hate
usually a
avocados.
texture issue with people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love guacamole. So
If you don't like guacamole, I feel like you haven't had it made correctly. You know?
True.
You haven't had there's not enough lime juice in it.
yeah. So unpopular opinion, guacamole is good.
I agree. I could go for some guacamole right now. If you could have dinner with any 3 people, dead or alive,
Okay.
who would it be?
My number 1 person would be
Besides me.
besides you, of course. My number 1 person would be my grandmother. She passed away before I was born, and my middle name is named after her. And it's my dad's mom. And
What's your middle name?
Anne.
Ann.
And spelled with an E, so it's A-N-N-E, which usually it's just A-N-N.
It's very Southern of you.
Yes, very Southern of me. But I would say her because everyone I meet on my dad's side says I'm just like her.
Oh, that's
I talk like her, I look like her, but I've never met her. So I would definitely say my grandmother is honestly the only person I would like to have dinner with.
No entrepreneurs, nothing? Nobody, not even Justin Bieber?
Entrepreneurs. Yeah, I'll have dinner with Justin Bieber.
yeah.
And Haley, why not? Both of them.
Okay, Justin Bieber and Haley Bieber.
Yeah, I'll have dinner with them. Sure, that'd be fun.
So are you a person who likes to be in a big group of people, like lots of friends, or are you kind of like, I'm gonna keep my circle small?
I can do both.
Okay.
I'm one of those people.
Dynamic.
Yes, I'm very dynamic. And like, I have so many different friend groups.
Yeah.
And like, there will be nights that like, I'm, going somewhere with one friend group, and then I find out that like 3 other friend groups are hanging out somewhere else one night, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna go there. Like, I literally start hopping around friend groups. So I'm definitely probably a big group person, but I love hanging out like one-on-one with people. Yeah, I don't know. I have a lot of different friend groups, so I'm always trying to balance and be like, all right, I'll come and see y'all, and I'll see y'all.
Absolutely.
All over the place.
So if you had to look ahead 10 years, what does that look like for you?
Oh, I have so many goals in life that I would.
That's a broad
probably,
statement. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably be
Besides dancing for Justin Bieber, Justin, come on.
call me.
Please.
Please.
I want this to happen.
Yeah, me too. So there's like a lot of different things I want to do. Like I want to keep dancing professionally, possibly for another league, or stay in the same league. I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. I eventually want to start coaching a college dance team. I would love
Would
to
you ever
coach.
want to go back to SMU and coach, or?
If the opportunity was given to me, absolutely. Or I could, start somewhere new and fresh and learn a whole new program if I had to.
Okay.
I would love to do that. And then also, I kind of talked about this a little bit earlier. I have these like random goals of opening a dancewear line at some point, because I just think there's not enough adult dancewear in the industry. There's Lululemon and there's like Alo Yoga, but that's meant for like
Lululemon
working
is
out.
Mark Cuban's brand.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
He's part owner in it.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord, something every day. I should know that.
I know. Well, now you know.
Well, now I
have you ever like seen Mark Cuban or talked to Mark?
I haven't talked, but I have seen him several times.
Several times, because he's always on the sidelines cheering and stuff.
Always on the sideline.
Is he pretty vocal?
Yes.
Have you heard anything kind of like wild that he says?
No, I can't really hear, honestly. There's a lot of yelling.
Probably best.
And like we're in the tunnel, and it's just like there's always a lot of yelling. And if we go on the court, it's usually during a t-shirt toss, so everyone's yelling for a
Right.
t-shirt.
Yeah.
So I can't really hear the music either.
Yeah.
It's always chaotic, but
Yeah.
fun.
If you could ask Mark Cuban any question, kind of what would it be? And you can sit on this a little bit.
I would just ask him like what's his favorite memory of his ownership. He's owned the team for so long, and I'm sure he'd probably say finals in 2011.
Right.
But I mean, like just on a deeper level,
Yeah.
just kind of ask him that, because
Yeah.
this team has just been all over the place, and
Right.
experienced so many different things. So
Right.
I think that'd be cool, especially as a rookie who's first year working for the team.
Right.
So.
Absolutely. So, do you have a favorite player besides Luka Doncic on the Mavericks?
I would have to say Luka.
Luka?
I just named my cat Luka, so if I'm being honest.
You named your cat Luka. So when did you
Yes.
get this cat?
About 2 months ago.
About 2 months ago.
Yeah, he's a little kitten, a little tuxedo, so he looks like he has a suit on all the time.
How perfect.
Yeah, he's literally perfect. He's literally perfect.
So would you rather have more money or more time?
More time.
And what
Absolutely.
would you do with more time if given to you, if you could just automatically get it?
Oh, I would do literally everything
If
I
you
said
had
no to.
10 if you had 10 more hours in the day,
Yeah.
if you had 34 hours in the day, what would that look like?
I would probably spend more time with friends, because my schedule is so busy that sadly sometimes I have to give up part of my social life.
Yeah.
Which, they understand. It's not like, my friends are like, we never see you. Like,
Right.
they understand I am always
Busy.
doing the most,
Absolutely.
achieving every goal I absolutely can. And I mean, just within the past couple of weeks, I've had to say no to so many big opportunities, and then also like just hang out with friends, because I'm starting to realize, where I start towing the line of really stressed out and just trying to get through everything.
Right. Still wanting to feel every experience that's coming your way.
Yes, exactly. So I would just ask for more time, and I don't do anything for the money. I do it all for the experience and because I want to, and I love to do it. So.
Yeah. Do you want to let's talk a little bit more about your want to enter the fashion industry and kind of what, like if you just had somebody willing to invest in you, what would you tell them to sell your product?
Yeah,
what would you create?
Like I said, there's this space in the dance industry for dancewear where there's not a dancewear line creating adult like practice wear basically. And most dancers wear Lululemon, Alo Yoga, brands like that, but those are not made for dancing.
Right.
Those are for yoga, running, working out.
Casual wear.
Yeah, casual lounge wear, stuff like that.
Right.
And I think there needs to be, a brand that is geared for people 18 and up that are still dancing, and stuff that they can wear for dancing rather than yoga and running. Because, if we're dancing and moving around, those aren't the same movements when it comes to running and yoga. It's very different.
Absolutely.
And, sometimes it doesn't fit right or it's not made for that movement. So I think that's something that this space lacks and it really needs. And I would love to tackle that in maybe 10 years down the road, because there's tons of like kiddie dancewear lines.
Yeah.
For kids, elementary, middle school.
Right.
There's nothing really for high schoolers, honestly, either. So it could kind of start gear for like 15 and up, I would say.
Right, for sure. Tell me, what does a routine look like for you, and what do young women who are wanting to enter this space or are currently in the space need to know to be successful like you?
Yeah. So I think what's interesting is that a lot of professional dancers, it looks like on social media, that's all they do sometimes.
Right.
Because that's all they're putting out. Like that's their brand, kind of how we were talking about earlier. But really, that's a part-time job, honestly.
Absolutely.
That's a part-time job, and we have other careers outside of that that we're pouring into as well. So
Absolutely.
I have a 9 to 5, and after I get off work at 5, I usually go to a dance class or a dance practice, and usually we have to practice for practice, so we walk in being prepared and knowledgeable about what we are about to practice.
Yeah.
So I think a lot more goes into it than people realize.
Absolutely.
Overall, for what women should be doing to prepare for, if they want to try out, I think, like I said earlier, they need to know their goal and not just halfway do it. Because I have friends, in the industry who say, oh, I want to do this, and they don't really commit to it.
Right.
And like I was talking about
But
earlier,
they want the result that you have.
Yes, exactly. They want the result, and I think that's what's so interesting. It's like, I knew what I wanted, and that's why I did the absolute most to achieve it.
Yes, you did.
And, sometimes to be able to go in confidently, you have to do that as well.
Right.
Like you said, they want the result, but
They don't want to put in the work.
they don't want to put in the work, and sometimes they don't know how to put in the work.
Right.
Now, luckily for me, I have a lot of people in my life that I could reach out to and say, how can I do this? Can you help me? Give me advice, whatever it was. But really, you just need to know your goal, and you need to sit down with someone else in the industry or just figure it out and say, okay, I know I want to look my best. How am I going to do that? I know I want to dance my best. How am I going to do that?
Right.
And there's, plenty of opportunity in the industry for you to be able to achieve that, whether it's going to classes, going to workouts, just connecting with the right people.
Right.
So you got to put in the work,
Yeah.
but it will be worth it if you do it correctly.
Absolutely. So, for people who they don't know if they want to enter this space, but they're interested in maybe trying it out. How do you do that? Since you've been dancing since
2.
you were born,
Yeah,
basically. If someone is 10, 13, 15, 20, and they want to give this a stab, how can they do that?
I think if you're, on the borderline about it, you can always just go for it and see, from that perspective, if you would like to do it, pursue it professionally at the end of the day. Because I also have friends that, right now they're coming to me saying, oh, I really want to go through this tryout process, but I don't know if that's the city I want to be in. And stuff like that. And I say, well, you can always go through the tryout process. And if you realize maybe that's not the city you want to live in, if you go to another big city, there's going to be another team with another tryout that you can go through. So it's just about, giving yourself that grace and realizing, like, is this something I want to do if you are on the borderline of it?
Right.
And there's also people that would love to speak about it.
Absolutely.
And say, like, well, this is what I did. This is why I love it. This is why maybe you may not like it, because if they know the person, they can give them advice like that.
I want to take a moment to shout out our sponsors. This podcast is sponsored by Bel Air Ranch Seasoning and Bijan Mustard. Bel Air Ranch is a herb and spice seasoning made from green peppercorn and purple shallots and can take your game day dish from basic to fabulous. And you can even use this recipe to make a kick-ass ranch dip. Bijan Mustardson is a gourmet Dijon mustard. With the help of top quality chefs, Bijan made a mustard so good it tastes like a touchdown. We'll put the link in the description so you can find these two amazing products at a store near you. Gwen, thank you for coming on Now It's Legal podcast. It's been great having you on. I hope to see you in the near future, and hopefully I can see you at the next Dallas Mavericks game.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
Yes, any last words?
That's it. Thank you.
Awesome.